Cool.
That we're going.
Hi, this is Katie Spencer and you're watching Assembly Point. What's new in the world of Katie Spencer? So I have just bought a new guitar, which is very exciting. It's not often that I do that, and it's super special. I've been kind of looking for an archtop guitar for a long time, and I found one in London, and I kind of saw it in the window one evening, and when I walked past, and the shop was shut, so I went back the next morning and had a go on it, and it's beautiful. It's a Gibson ES125, and I've already written a few songs on it, which is exciting. And yeah, it's very old. It's from 1952, so it's exciting to think about the music that's been played on it and the music that I might play on it in the future. Your latest album is The Edge of the Land. How does it differ from your previous work? So The Edge of the Land was an album that I recorded live in the studio with a trio. So I had Aaron Amoon on drums, Tom Mason on double bass, and myself on guitars and vocals. And it was amazing. We kind of went into the studio for 2 days and recorded the whole thing live. And I just feel like it's got an energy that I wouldn't be able to capture otherwise. And it's not the first time I've recorded like that, but it's the first time I've recorded a full album like that, and it was a real treat to do it in that way. So hopefully it's kind of captured something a little bit different to my first album, and of course we kind of went in and did overdubs afterwards with kind of flugelhorn and things like that, but it was exciting to just go in and do it live, so I guess that's sort of different. And there's also much more of a theme to this album. It's much more about landscapes and people and how they kind of connect with each other, landscapes and people, and the relationship that we have with the places that we live. So yeah, it's much more of a kind of thematic album, I suppose, than my other ones. Where does your songwriting process start? So when I'm writing songs, I generally start with a guitar part, so I sit down with my guitar and just kind of come up with a riff or a melody, or even just a bunch of chords, and I'll just kind of sing nonsense verse over the top of this music until I kind of grasp onto a kind of theme or some words that I think fit with the kind of music that I'm hearing, and then I'll go from there. Sometimes I'll put my guitar down and just kind of go with the theme that I've just been developing and just sit with my notebook and write the lyrics. Other times I'll keep my guitar there and kind of write with my guitar and make the music as I'm kind of going along. I do that most often because I guess I'm kind of a guitar-based songwriter, so it always generally starts with the guitar. I've done other things in the past though, kind of experimented with writing down 10 titles that I like the sound of and then picking one and writing a song just based off a nice sounding title and things like that, but generally it's with a guitar first. Who or what inspires you to make music? So I think at the beginning there are a lot of kind of local musicians that I used to see playing live all the time, and I kind of grown up in that kind of going to festivals. My folks are huge music fans, but they're not musicians, but they kind of really emphasise the importance of music to me as a kid. So I think just seeing people play live and enjoying themselves and being really good musicians was kind of a huge inspiration at the start. And nowadays I really like listening to kind of late 60s, kind of early 70s folk revival sort of music. So that inspires me musically, but kind of I guess the kind of songwriting side of things is much more inspired by landscapes and the places that I get to visit when I'm touring, and just really inspired by the natural world really. Do you prefer making music or playing live music? One of the kind of best parts for me about being a musician is playing live, but you know, there's a real excitement when I'm kind of making music, and that's something that I've just come to love a lot more recently. I guess in the pandemic that was the kind of only thing that I could do. I couldn't play live music particularly, so I really kind of fell in love with that process a lot more, and I enjoy both things, but I guess playing live is sort of where it's at for me, and that's why I do so much of it, because I love it. And but there's nothing quite like that feeling of sort of sharing a brand new song for the first time live as well, so that's kind of where the two worlds meet, I guess, and that's really special for me. What makes a great song? I think for me the biggest thing that kind of makes music great or makes songs great is just being honest and having that kind of authenticity, regardless of the song structure or the chord pattern or anything. I'm not particularly kind of focused on a certain way of doing things, because I just think music should be honest and authentic, and I think that's why I listen to quite a lot of different music from different genres, and I think that's because it's got to be honest and it doesn't particularly matter about much else. I've spent quite a lot of time recently thinking about, what does it mean to have an honest voice in music, and I guess it's kind of a lifelong quest, but it's quite exciting to sort of start thinking about that journey that is happening, and I love hearing that in other people as well, just having that kind of just really exciting, very open ethos about kind of here's my music and this is exactly how I want it to be. And I think that really shines through in a great song if people are kind of really enjoying themselves and getting across exactly what they want and not particularly doing it for anyone else, I suppose. Where would you like to see yourself in a year from now? Well, this year I set myself a challenge to write an album and have it ready to record by the end of the year, so I'd love to have that in the bag and be ready to kind of think about how I want to release my new music. So hopefully in a year's time I'll be somewhere on that journey. I just love I love touring, and kind of having albums and writing new music is a great way to do that, and yeah, I just love to kind of carry on making music and building a fan base full of lovely people and getting to see them around the country and kind of visit new places that I wouldn't see otherwise were it not for music. So that's what I'd like to be doing. Anything you'd like to add or promote? So in May I released my second album, which is called The Edge of the Land, and you can buy a copy on vinyl or CD. It's also available to download, of course, in all the usual places and stream. And yeah, all of that kind of information can be found on my website, which is katiespencer.net. I always say that I would love to work with Paul Buchanan from the Blue Nile, and I don't know why that is, I just think he's amazing. Most recent gig I went to as a fan was to see some gypsy jazz, and they were called Appel 4. It's very cool, laid back kind of Parisian jazz. I still own a CD player. My living room is absolutely crammed full of physical format music. There are so many that I could choose for so many different reasons, but one of my favourite gigs that I've played was at Celtic Connections, which is a festival held up in Glasgow every year, and I played at the Royal Concert Hall there, which was just wild. But recently I played an incredible ancient venue over 900 years old, which was Durham Cathedral, and it was insane, it was huge. Well, a subject I'd like to learn more about is philosophy. I went to see a philosopher speaking recently in Bradford, and it was really interesting, and it kind of took me back to my A-level days when I was into that kind of thing and reminded me I should know more about it.